Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Candidates Night 2023 for our East Bridgewater town election. My name is Amanda Colligan, and I am here as a representative from the Democratic Town Committee here this evening. Also an outgoing school committee member, so I'm very excited to be here with other candidates this evening. I wanted to just start the evening by saying thank you so much to EBCAM for working with us and also for streaming this. And to those tuning in from home now or watching video on demand later, thank you so much for being here. I just also want to thank the Republican Town Committee and the Democratic Town Committee this evening, who have both co-sponsored this event. Unfortunately, a representative from the Republican Town Committee was unable to attend tonight, so I am your lone guest host for the evening. So thank you for bearing with me in what I'm sure will be a bumpy road. So this year we have no contested races in our town election that will be held on Saturday, May 13th. However, as we all know, the folks who are who serve in these positions for our town are making important decisions for all of us community members, and we thought it was still very important that you hear from those who were able to come tonight. So a little lay of the land in how we're going to work this evening. I'm going to call the positions that are here for candidates that are here this evening. And by position, if there are multiple folks, multiple candidates for each position, you'll have the opportunity to come up to my right and make a statement. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running. If there are multiple candidates for one position, both candidates will be able to make an opening statement, and then we will open the floor to those in our studio audience this evening for questions. If you do have a question, if you could just come up to this table in front of me so that we can hear you, that would be lovely. And then we'll ask the same question of both candidates if there are multiple candidates for a position. So there's not a lot of folks here tonight, so we're not going to time it, but please just try and keep your answers concise if possible so that we can all make sure to hear what's important but also get home at a reasonable time. Did I miss anything else, studio audience? Okay, excellent. Thank you. All right, so I just wanted to read the positions. We have some candidates who were able to be here tonight. First on the ballot, we have for our town election is moderator for Robert Looney is our candidate. He was unable to be here tonight, but thank you for running nonetheless, Mr. Looney. And then next we have Selectmen, and Peter Spagone is here this evening. Peter, you want to come up and say a little bit?
So I'm used to sitting over there. I don't think I've ever.
I know. How do you like
this side of the room? Right. This is Charlie's seat. But yeah. So my name is Peter Spagone Jr. I'm running for re-election. So 3 years ago was my first term. Looking forward to continuing some of the progress that myself and David and Carol have made to this point. We have. I think we've worked really well in the first 3 years. We've got. Not only have we've seen quite a few changes in our departments with the new town administrator, Charlie Seelig, coming in, but also I think we had about 7 other changes in important department areas. New Board of Health agent, new accountant, new treasurer collector. So, I guess the story behind the change is that in municipal government, they move around quite a bit. There's a lot of competition, and there's not a lot of people actually in that field, so it's very competitive for sure from town to town. But we've been lucky to make those strides to what I think put a very good financial as well as development team together here in town. And again, we're looking to progress what we've done so far with some of the projects we have in town, as well as getting some of the private businesses as well continue to work with us. So it's the real reason to continue the 3 years. I don't know if there'd be any other reason to be in this position, to be quite honest with you. But I've enjoyed it to this point, and again, if it wasn't for my work with David and Carol and being able to work with them quite easily, I probably wouldn't be here, but I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Thank you so much. Oh, you can stay there. We're not ready.
Oh, okay. I thought we'd go right down the list.
But thank you. I know. Does anyone in the audience have a question for Peter this evening? Don't all jump at once. All right. Well, Peter, you talked about kind of how you've collaborated on the select board right now, and I know as someone who's gone to town meeting, we only see snippets of kind of what you all work on and what you do. So I'd like to ask you. You touched on this a bit, but what's one of the things that you're proudest of for your first term? And then what's an opportunity that you'd like to build on more for the future for your second term?
First term, I think it's just the collaboration of working with the departments, between, and not so much the big three, which is obviously police, fire, and DPW, but more so the smaller departments, giving them the tools. We came in and we found that we had some holes, especially in planning and building upstairs. We wanted to make sure that not just the companies that are doing the construction work, but the private residents that were having some issues trying to get some of their projects done in a timely fashion. Look, it's municipal government, and I say it all the time, it works at a very, very, very slow pace, and I understand that to some degree. I'm getting better to understand that, but I think one of the credits to, not just myself, but of course to Carol and David as well, is the fact that we've been able to work with those departments. They started track meetings every 2 weeks. All the departments that work upstairs get together. They discuss projects. These contractors can come in or developers can come in and talk about their project prior to having to go through each stage, which I think is very beneficial, and it certainly speeds up the process and reduces some of the costs, because when you go to these meetings, it costs money. So that's been a big step. And another thing for us, I think I talked 3 years ago about trying to figure out the engineering of some of the things that we do, the plans, and what I found out was that whether it be the Board of Health or the Planning Board or zoning, they all had different engineering firms that they'd work with. And one of the things we did is we reached out and we brought a firm in that works with us. So kind of the same lines as like town council, they work verbatim on each job. And I think that's also been a benefit, because it helps for us to figure out where our shortcomings are and to have one firm that we can really work with. So, the things upstairs, I always say the same thing over and over again. It's, to me, downstairs here, the financial end of it, they count the money that we bring in, and upstairs is really where we make the money. And to give them the tools they need and the ability to do that is certainly been I think one of the biggest accomplishments we've had. As far as going forward, Route 18 would obviously come first to mind. We've got a SOAR project that's going on down there, $9 million project. We secured $4 million already in state grants. We're looking to work with the federal government on hopefully getting another $2 to $3 million there. And just that alone shows you the type of project that we're putting together and the support that we have and what we're looking at for not just development, but also for that corridor look different. You go down Route 18 and I don't pick any certain town out, but you see the same things, space buildings, things of that nature. What we're hoping to do is see a different look with more opportunity to bring in housing for our residents, as well as a bigger commercial base. And so that would be probably the largest ongoing project we have going forward from this point.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
More questions from our audience for candidate for re-election Peter Spagone for Selectmen? Any fun pieces of town meeting coming up on May 8th that you want to highlight for those watching and those of us here today?
Well, at our last meeting, I was told I had to talk about the bicentennial, of course, or David would be extremely upset with me. So yes, I mean, that's, we've got a lot of good events coming up. There's a website, the information on the town's website. For me, I've been working with a commercial club on June 10th. We've got a 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. full day of activities. We actually released the information, I think, a few days ago on social media. It's going to be a fabulous day. We're incorporating events from children all the way up to our seniors. It's senior barbecue that day, and so that's exciting. I mean, they've done a great job. Dale and David both have done a nice job so far putting the list together and getting some of these events out. But I think this collaboration between a great organization like the club that's done a lot in town over many years, and the town of East Bridgewater on their anniversary. I think it's going to be a special event, and it will end with one of the legendary bonfires from the commercial club from yesteryear. So that's probably the funnest event that we have going on, and the project that we got going on. So looking forward to that.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Last call. Any new questions? All right. Thank you so much, Peter.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. This seems like a good time to plug our town meeting, which is next Monday, May 8th at 7 p.m.
Yep,
7 p.m. at the junior senior high school. All right. So the next open position on the ballot is for assessor, and Curtis Gluck is the candidate for that role. He was not able to come tonight, but thank you, Curtis, for running. And then next up, we have school committee. We have 2 open positions, and first we have our candidate for re-election, Ellen Pennington. Ms. Pennington, you want to come up and say hello?
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you to the Democratic and Republican town committees for hosting, and for you for chairing it this evening, Amanda. My name is Ellen Pennington, as all of you probably know. I'm honored to have served students in the community of East Bridgewater for the past 9 years on the school committee, and I have served as chair intermittently for 5 years. It has been an incredible experience being an active participant and team player in the growth and development of our school district. I am seeking re-election and respectfully ask for your vote on June 6th so that I can keep working to move the district forward. During my tenure on the school committee, I have hired our superintendent, Elizabeth Legault, ensuring stability for the district. We have a balanced budget, lower class sizes, full-day kindergarten, successfully completed capital improvement projects, and offer students early college classes as well as a professional development academy for our faculty and staff. As chair, I work regularly to ensure the following: that our policy manual has been completely updated and continues to be updated, that we held workshops as needed for school committee members, and that we now have an elected student representative to the school committee according to Mass General Law. I make it a priority to attend the Massachusetts Association of School Committees Day on the Hill at the State House annually, which is coming up again tomorrow, and I will be there. It gives us an opportunity to understand legislation being talked about, meet one-on-one with our elected representatives, and advocate for our students and community. I am in regular communication with our state legislators about public school funding and policies. We know that there are challenges that lie ahead that impact smaller communities like ours. I believe that based on my past experience with the work that I have done and the relationships that I have built with the Massachusetts Association of School Committees, our district leadership and town officials, that I am best equipped to be re-elected to the school committee. I look forward to tackling the challenges that lie ahead and moving the district forward in a positive direction to meet the needs of all students. It has been my pleasure to address you this evening. For these reasons and more, I respectfully request your vote for re-election on June 6th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now if we could hear from Peter Furia, who's running for the second school committee seat, and then we'll get to questions for both of you.
Should she stay?
No, we'll go back and forth. That way we ask you both the same questions.
Sure.
I know.
Thank you very much for having me. My name is Peter Furia. I'm running for school committee. I'm a lifelong resident of East Bridgewater. For the past several years, I've been on the Recreation Commission. I've chaired the Recreation Commission during some challenging times, as it's been stated before. Town government is challenged. I think in general, throughout, not just in East Bridgewater, but throughout probably the entire country, volunteerism is at a tough point. So I would say that we've done a phenomenal job of keeping that group together, and we started with very limited budget, but through teamwork, we were able to work together with Finance Committee, Department of Public Works, Selectmen, where we were able to move some projects forward that have probably been needed for many years. So incredibly proud of the teamwork that we've been able to keep together, and very excited about a project that's hopefully gonna see some further movement in these next couple of days down at Church Street. We had some courts that had been in disrepair for quite some time, were a little bit of a liability, and through teamwork throughout the entire town, we were able to move that ball forward, and hopefully they're gonna get paved and we'll be playing some basketball out there in the summertime. And I think the reason why I talk about that is because it's a community, and we need to have things for all members of the community that we can come together. Volunteering and these types of things are, by and large, thankless. So, Ms. Pennington, Mr. Spagone, everybody who's running and going to be part of something, thank you. I don't know if people say that enough, and I think we all collectively need to work together in order to help move East Bridgewater forward. And one of the things that I think is most important is that if we are all in it for the right reasons, it should never be us versus each other. It should be us versus the problem. And I think one of the things that I am very proud of is that I like to build a good quality team and be part of a good quality team so that we can work together to address the problems and solve those things in East Bridgewater.
Great, thank you. We'll pause there for a second, stay there. Any questions for the school committee members or school committee candidates from the audience? Don't make me ask all the questions tonight. It'll get repetitive. Yeah, come on up. And if you don't mind, if you could just say your name and then your question to the microphone so that everyone can hear you. Sure. Thank you.
So my name is Karen Churchill, and my question is, will probably come as no surprise, making tons of national news lately are books being pulled from schools, not being taught anymore. It seems like in the past, books that had controversial topics were often kept in classrooms with context put around them. So there was still value to teaching them. They didn't try to pull everything that was controversial out of a classroom. But now it seems like things in many places are swinging the opposite direction, and they are choosing to completely remove them from anything controversial from classrooms. And I wanted to know where you both stood on that current situation and what you would do in your roles.
Well, thank you very much for the question. I think it's topical and so forth. I choose not to want to get brought into political discussions. I'm independent by nature. I don't think answering those questions necessarily help us solve what we're looking to accomplish. And what I think we need to accomplish is bringing people together, and I think it's an incredibly fair question, but I think it could potentially pull people apart. And I'm going to choose to respectfully decline answering how I feel about that, because I want to pull people together, not tear them apart.
Ms. Pennington, Mr. Furia, can we give Ms. Pennington an opportunity to respond to? Thank you.
This is a hot topic. I like to think of, I really try not to think of the book topic as a political issue. I like to think of it as, I don't know if I would say an educational issue, but I think that people, if they choose to read a book, they should read the book. If they choose not to read the book, they shouldn't read the book. And I believe that there's policies in place at the school currently, and they're in the process of being revised, where will be beneficial to all, I believe. So, that's all. And also, I feel the way that Peter Furia feels. I'm not looking to pull people apart either. I think everybody should work together.
Thank you, Ms. Pennington. You can stay there. You can be first for our next
Oh,
question,
sure.
if you want. Other questions from our audience this evening? No? All right. Well, Ms. Pennington, I have a question. And to make it fair, I want to be able to ask you both the same question. What do you think is the biggest opportunity for the schools for the next 3 years, which would be your next term on the school committee? What do you think are the biggest opportunities facing the school committee and the district?
Biggest opportunities in what specifically, like what way?
For the district generally, I would say opportunities could be things you want to get to, things we think we should tackle, things that are coming up that could be challenging.
Oh, there's so many.
You do that, flip the challenge to opportunity, Ella. It's a good,
There's so many.
well,
I would like to see the social emotional issues that we have going on be taken care of. I know it's more prevalent, more prominent now, and so that's a big thing. That's, I would say, important.
okay, great, thank you. Can we give Mr. Furia the opportunity to respond as well?
Get my steps in.
Well, we really need some like movement music for you all, sorry.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, so the term for this role is 3 years, and so what do you think the biggest opportunities or challenges in the next 3 years that the school committee and district will face?
Well, I think the biggest challenge really comes to involvement by the community members in their say in their community, and I think that's also the best opportunity. So if I were to have a plea, it would be, and every time I talk with somebody, I say get involved. I think it's easy to complain. I think it's hard to get involved. I think we are challenged collectively with handling hard things. And I think we need to work on handling hard things. The easy bus doesn't show up tomorrow. Didn't show up today, didn't show up yesterday. So things are hard, and we need people to work together, to get involved, to help. Many hands make easy lifting. So I would say that would be something that I would love to get the involvement of the community in what is fundamentally probably one of the most important things in the community, the school, and our children and their education. So I would say I would just actively like to engage people in getting involved. And that's just not, that's not just family members of the schools, that's school committee with other departments and so forth. So I think that that's a challenge and both an opportunity at the same time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, stay one sec, just in case. Anyone, questions for the school committee candidates? All right, you may have your seat. Thank you so much, Ms. Pennington and Mr. Furia, for running. All right. We have 2 slots open for library trustees. Victoria Penora and Joanne Landry are candidates for those positions. They were unable to be here tonight, but thank you again, Joanne and Victoria, for running. And then we have 1 spot open on the Board of Health, and we have Mr. Andrew Hudson here this evening. Andrew, come on up.
Just fire when ready.
Yeah.
Andrew Hudson, running for Board of Health. I did not write a speech, because I can't really tell you what I'm going to do unless I get on there. My areas of interest would be continuing the sewer and finding programs for the children before school. We used to have a box program. I know my kids participated and they loved it. I'd like to see that continued. But that's really the size of it. Any questions?
Why Board of Health, Andrew?
Because 2 days before papers could be closed, nobody had pulled papers. So in order to give back to the town that's given me so much, I decided to run.
Love that. We're all about the spirit of community in this room tonight. I love that. Excellent. Awesome.
Anything else? Anybody? Don't be shy.
Thank you for running.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone else.
Yeah, I know.
Size 10.5 shoe.
Great. Thanks so much, Andrew.
All right, you're welcome.
Short and sweet. I love it. I love it. All right, and then finally on the ballot for our town election, we have 3 spots for our planning board. Roy Gardner is a candidate for re-election. He was unable to be here this evening, but we have 2 new candidates, Rachel Tedesco and Diane Phillips. Rachel, Ms. Tedesco, may I ask you to come first? Oh, sorry, you're on my list order. Sorry. No problem. I have my script here. That's all.
Yep. Oh, this chair's off. Thank you for inviting me here this evening to speak to you, and also for people out there in TV land. Good evening. I'm Rachel Tedesco, and I'm a retired Unitarian Universalist minister and a first-time candidate for the East Bridgewater Planning Board. After living here in East Bridgewater with my husband David for 35 years, I am so pleased for this opportunity to serve our town by being on the planning board. And I have previous experience that qualifies me, I think, to fill this position. I earned my bachelor's degree from Wellesley College in 1969 with a major in political science. Although my last career was in ministry, I worked for 23 years in public planning, especially in city and regional planning. In 1974, I began my career with the Brockton Office of the City Planner and worked there for 8 years. This was during the administration of Mayor David Crosby. In my planner's position, I worked in collaboration with the Old Colony Planning Council and got to know how it functions pretty well. I know that OCPC can be particularly helpful to our smaller towns, which don't have large planning staffs or resources. After my time working for Brockton, I worked as a comprehensive planner for 15 years at the Southeastern Regional Planning and Economic Development District. This is the regional planning agency south of us, whose office is in Taunton. So altogether, I think I have a pretty solid background in planning. In preparation for running for this position on the East Bridgewater Planning Board, I read our town's 1988 comprehensive plan. This gave me a detailed picture of the town's major issues back some 35 years. One issue that was that there were too many large lot zoning areas across the town. This promotes development of single-family housing on 1-acre lots. This development takes up too much open space, including fields and forests, diminishing the charming semi-rural and historic character of this town. In short, it may turn a town like East Bridgewater into a boring, homogeneous suburb. It also prevents the construction of higher density, more affordable housing, whether that be single or multifamily. I also started to read our town's rules and regulations governing the subdivision of land. That wasn't quite as exciting as the master of the comprehensive plan. As far as I can gather, some good progress has been made since the 1988 comprehensive plan was written. For one, I think we've made progress in the areas of zoning regulations and preservation of open space, but I know much more needs to be done. I'm so glad that our town is receiving a $75,000 grant from the Massachusetts Community Planning Grant Program to develop a new master plan, and that we can expect assistance from the Old Colony Planning Council in developing this plan. So I ask that all you registered voters in East Bridgewater go to the polls on Saturday, May 13th, and that you vote for me and the other dedicated candidates who are committed to serving our town.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tedesco. Ms. Phillips, may we ask you to give your statement, and then we'll go to questions, if that's okay?
Thank you, Amanda, for hosting tonight and for the East Bridgewater Democratic Town Committee, the Republican Town Committee, for EBCAM, and for all those that are out there. This is my first time, as a couple others have stated, for running for candidates for a position. My name is Diane Phillips, and I am running for the Planning Board. I grew up in East Bridgewater, right down the street on Plymouth Street, and attended East Bridgewater schools, graduated from college with a Bachelor of Science in Elementary Ed. I received my master's at Bridgewater and have been currently teaching in Middleborough for the last 28 years. I also started my teaching career at the Central School in East Bridgewater. So you can see my roots are really from the Central School down to the Carver Cotton Gin. That's about as far as I go. I married David down here. Two of us have Davids here, and we built a home down on Plymouth Street on my dad's land, where we raised 3 children, and now I'm blessed with 4 grandchildren. So that's kind of my life. And I'm nearing retirement, so I'm looking for getting involved in a town that I dearly love. So I have been involved in our community throughout my life, and mainly as the Friends of East Bridgewater Trails, which maintains and promotes trail usage throughout the town. And in the 1980s, I was a member of the newly formed Solid Waste Committee, and I worked with Bob Lundberg, our dear longtime building inspector, to reinstitute a recycling center in our town, and we had it right over there by the fire station. I have spent my entire life, and it's not over, being involved in community events and activities. I'm a proud resident of East Bridgewater, and I'm currently a member of the Bicentennial Committee and co-chair of the East Bridgewater Democratic Town Committee. I'm running, and I'm very honored to be running for a member of the Planning Board. I care deeply about the future of this town. That's really my main reason for running. The people, the land, and the resources. I think we need to look at all 3 of those when we think of the Planning Board. What do we want East Bridgewater to look like in 5 years, 50 years, 100 years? And it is the Planning Board, one of their main responsibilities, to look and prepare for that. So how do we encourage growth, which brings in money to our town, at the same time as protecting our open spaces? As a Planning Board member, I am committed to being part of a team that leads us toward that goal of smart growth. And that can be defined in many ways, but I really think it's having a plan, knowing what we want, where we want our future to be, and while maintaining the character of this town, which I think is rich and exciting to live in, and I think we're all very proud of it. It's my intention to be a part of this committee to bring businesses and residents together and to make it an effective board, and to be respectful and helpful in all manners. I'm excited, as well as Rachel mentioned, that we're receiving this grant of money, I believe it's a grant, to review the comprehensive master plan. It was written in 1988. It was exciting to read. I felt it was very exciting to read. I have not read the bylaws or the other, but I do think it's going to be an exciting process to go through and look what do we want East Bridgewater to look like in the future. I look forward to working with other members of the Planning Board. It's a wealthy, full of experience, with Roy Gardner, with 40 years of experience, and the other town departments, because we work very closely with those, and with the East Bridgewater community. And we'd appreciate your vote on Election Day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ms. Phillips, if you'll stay there. Any questions from the audience? We're a quiet bunch tonight. Sounds like we all need to read this comprehensive plan from 1988. Sounds riveting.
It is.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Ms. Phillips and Ms. Tedesco, both of you are first-time candidates. You're running for a new position, and so I'd be interested to hear what contributions you think your voice is going to make on this board with, as you said, the wealth of experience. What's something new that you're going to bring to this planning board?
Well, my background is education, so I bring a teaching experience, and not at all like what Mrs. Tedesco's is, with really involvement in the planning. But I think I have a perspective that I can bring to this board as a homeowner, as someone that really appreciates and loves nature and the open space and wanting to protect that, and as well as giving access to making sure there's access in these big developments for other people to use and to access those beautiful areas of land that are out there in East Bridgewater. I grew up on the land, I've walked the trails, and it is just, we want to be able to save that for future generations. I'm also, I think I'm very hard worker, and I love the aspect of getting into data and looking at the maps and really working through all the projects that businesses bring to town. I love that. I can see myself getting on the street, walking the lands of a developer, and trying to see what that map, envision that. So I think I have a strong work ethic, and I'm excited about the process.
Thank you. Mrs. Tedesco, do you mind coming up?
No. Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. So, Mrs. Tedesco, what do you think as a first-time candidate and as a new voice on the planning board, what can you bring that'll be new to this group?
Well, I don't know the background of everybody on the planning board at the present time, especially Roy Gardner, who's served there for 40 years. So, but I do say my experience in planning, as I said before, in both city planning and regional planning could be really helpful. And I think I am also, like Diane, a hard worker. And, I study the details, and I can get down to the nitty-gritty and the number crunching or the, looking at the maps. But I think I have the vision of what I want the town to be like. And I want there to be balanced growth that's healthy, that promotes good zoning where, commercial and industrial are separate from residential, and that there's protected areas both in the housing and in the open space, so that our lands are protected from overdevelopment and bad wetlands and things like that. Our house is in I would say a wetland area, and it's always been a concern of us, for us where we live, and in the whole issue of having maybe housing or other buildings too close to watershed areas. So I think that's an issue. And so I really think I have very good feelings about East Bridgewater, having lived here for 35 years, and would really like to see it grow in a good way.
Thank you. Oh yeah, Ms.
No, I don't have a question.
Oh yeah. Any other questions for our planning board candidates?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Tedesco. Ms. Pennington, do you want to say something?
Are we done with all the people?
Those are all of our candidates that are here for this
I would
evening.
like to say one thing, but I probably have to come up to the mic really quick.
Yes, please.
I have to. I would like to apologize because I had the wrong date. I do know that election day is on May 13th, so I apologize. I did not fix that.
That's okay.
My mistake.
That's
May 13th, be there or be
Yes,
square.
yes. Thank you, Ms. Pennington, for reminding us. The election is Saturday. Oh, now I'm going to screw it up. Okay, May 13th. Oh my gosh, see? Polls open at 11 a.m. and they'll be open till 8 p.m. at the junior senior high school. And I know this was a pretty short. Oh yeah, Karen.
I saw on the website 7.
It's 7.
So to 7, 11 to 7. Thank you. Okay, let's try this again. Ready, everyone? Saturday, May 13th, from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Excellent. That's the sound bite. We're gonna use that. Cut that. Zach. Cut everything else. No, just kidding. Thank you so much. And I know this was a short evening, and I know that we may not have contested races. But I'm really encouraged by what I heard tonight. We have multiple first-time candidates. We have lots of community spirit, lots of promises and hope to work together to really improve our community. And I think getting new voices, whether it's a voice on a different board or a new voice getting into this in the first time is really important. And, as an outgoing member of the school committee, I just really appreciate the time and effort that each of you are taking to run, to put yourselves out there, to come tonight and maybe mess up on public access like I've done a couple times. So I just really am thankful to all of you, and thank you so much to those of you who came tonight and are currently watching or will watch this in the future. I encourage everyone to vote again on Saturday, May 13th, and just am looking forward to a bright new future for East Bridgewater. And what again? Oh yeah. Okay, so sorry. One other reminder, town meeting is next Monday, May 8th at 7 p.m. in the junior senior high school. And just a final thank you again to the Republican and Democratic town committees who have organized this event and who have allowed me to volunteer to help moderate this evening. You can find out information about participating in either the Republican or Democratic town committees on Facebook. They both have Facebook pages. Our Democratic town committee generally meets the third Wednesday of each month in this very room at 7 p.m. if you'd like to join. So please, there are lots of ways to get involved in East Bridgewater, and we look forward to seeing you at the polls and engaged in this work in the future. Have a great night, everyone.